People are still reluctant to come to media because what they are going to say is going to be a negative impact on the company's image. So even though it is injustice, they fear that their job would be at risk. A bloodbath for getting a job is happening right now. So there seems to be a cutthroat competition there because the vacancies are so less, and you have 60 days period to get a job. They say sorry that they have wrongly invested in artificial intelligence in the COVID period, expecting a huge return. And they've also recruited a large number of people in the COVID period, citing that they might expect a huge return on the artificial intelligence and emerging technologies. It is the gambling which the management has done, which it failed, but the risk has been put on the employee's head. There is no impact on the management except saying sorry. 1,200 people or 12,000 people, 6% of Google coming out at a single time is something very huge. And never in the history of IT MNCs, the Google-sized companies have never laid off at this number. People who have chronic diseases or their family members who chronic diseases depend on the insurance of these companies provide, which no state provides other than this. They are at huge risk.
Hello and welcome to the News Minute. For the past few weeks, we have been hearing that big tech companies are laying off their employees in the US, and at least 2 lakh IT professionals, they are from India, and Indian IT professionals. And according to the Washington Post, it started in November and it's still continuing, and at least 30 to 40% people who have been laid off are Indian IT professionals. To talk about this issue, I have with me Alagunambi Welkin, who is also the General Secretary of Unite, which is a labor union for IT professionals and IT employees. Welkin, thank you so much for talking to us. Welkin, can you just tell us what is the situation there right in the United States? What exactly is happening? Did you manage to speak to someone?
Hi, Shabir. Yeah. So what we estimated that we would be facing this kind of retrenchment, so the layoff happening right now in another 6 months or so, because IMF, International Monetary Fund, states that the crisis is going to deepen in next 6 months to 9 months. But this 1,200 people or 12,000 people, 6% of Google coming out at a single time is something very huge. And never in the history of IT MNCs, the Google-sized companies have never laid off at this number. So it's an historical layoff happening right now. So when we speak to these the affected employees or the people residing in US, IT employees, the fear of getting a job or a new job seems to be very there. They are trying to somehow get a job. They are even formed WhatsApp groups among the US migrant residents and trying to help each other out on identifying new vacancies wherever they can. But the terminology, the words they are using, the employee says is a bloodbath for getting a job is happening right now. So there seems to be a cutthroat competition there because the vacancies are so less, and you have 60 days period to get a job.
Okay.
Otherwise,
so 2 lakh IT professionals. This number is huge, and this number is concerning. Many of them have H-1B visa and L-1 visas. For people who have the H-1B visa, there is a stipulated period of time that they have to find another job. Otherwise, they have to come back to the country. So, like you pointed out, the situation there must be distressing for all these people who have been laid off. But what are the reasons for big tech companies like Google and Amazon laying off people? What are they telling you? Like, or do you think that the reasons that are given are valid? Is global recession, is the only factor, or there are other, factors too?
So there are two versions to it. One is the written statement by the companies and the unwritten statement. So the first written statement across all these big MNCs, you can see that they say sorry that they have wrongly invested in artificial intelligence in the COVID period, expecting a huge return. And they've also recruited a large number of people in the COVID period, citing that they might expect a huge written on the artificial intelligence and emerging technologies like blockchain, machine learning, artificial AR, VR. But they didn't get the response or the return as they expected. So they are trying to cut down. They're going to close the department on the artificial intelligence investment they have made so far. But the unsaid statements are one, it seems the US market is going to get affected on a huge amount. So the impact is going to be huge. That's why so far the new data or new oil companies, these big MNCs who completely relied on data, they collected huge amount of data. They never had any setbacks in their revenue. They almost have a quantum of equal to a state in India. Their revenue, annual revenue is almost equal to revenues of Indian state, major states. So on that quantum, they are now trying to cost cut so that they think the impact is going to be huge. They want to brace themselves so that their revenue margin will not hurt. So it's purely a cost cut mechanism is what from the union we see. And also while interacting with employees, we find that these employees are not non-performers or not something they have done some wrong.
My next question was, who are these people? We are only hearing numbers like Google has laid off 12,000 employees, Amazon has laid off 18,000 employees, Microsoft has laid off 10,000, Salesforce 7,000. But who are these employees? What are the positions in which they were hired? What is their role in the company? And what has happened to them now?
The majority of the employees seems to be experienced employees and who are having 8+ years of experience. And we also hear that freshers who are recently taken from the recently laid off companies were also let go by MNCs right now. So it is a mix. There's no particular job role being depleted. It's a common phenomena in IT industry that you don't take particular role to, you can't send out a particular role. You need to pick out the experienced resources of each role and send them out. So that's the cost cutting mechanism they do. So you can't identify any particular role in that.
Okay. So like you pointed out earlier, that the IT industry during the pandemic, they thought, tech is something that people will embrace. And now after the pandemic ended, life is normal for many. So that was there some sort of a miscalculation or some sort of a wrong strategy that was adopted during the pandemic by these tech giants?
Definitely. So that's what our understanding is also. So all these MNCs basically are into advertisement field. They bet on or they gambled on a decision that artificial intelligence is going to rule, since most of the work going to be remote work from home and people going to adapt to more digital based economy. But that turned out to be false when the major economies like China, India are trying to go back to normalcy. Since the pandemic is also getting under control, their assessment become false, and the bet or the initial assessment, when they started the assessment, every MNC wanted to capture the market in the artificial intelligence, and that's why they recruited huge number of resources or employees, and they invested huge amount of millions of dollars into the market, into the departments to capture the market. But as the rollback is consistent, people are going back to their normal life. They are slowly cutting down this effect, and this has nothing to do with employees. And as you rightly pointed, it is the gambling which the management has done, which it failed. But the risk has been put on the employee's head. There is no impact on the management except saying sorry.
Okay, I was also reading a couple of articles. In fact, PTI has put out an elaborate report on what is happening in the US. The human cost of these layoffs, like we are only talking about numbers. Like, beyond that, they are real people. They have their families. They have their own commitments. For example, I was talking to a couple of people last time when I interviewed you. I had got some contacts and I spoke to people who were laid off recently, and they told me that they all came from different districts, small town. thinking that they will, they have got jobs in big IT companies. So what happens to their dreams? And for particularly for people who have gone abroad, particularly for people who have gone to the US after obtaining H-1B visa. So what happens to all of them? That's the question that whoever I speak to, they say it's crazy situation out here, because 2 lakh is a huge number, right?
Right. So this human aspect of it seems to be the part which continuously missed when generally we speak about layoff. It all becomes economic aspect only, especially on the company side, that either it's cost cutting or the head count. But the human aspect is what we as a union also try to put it out as a create awareness among the general public and even to the government, because they also see it as numbers. The human, I can quote few examples on what happens when a layoff, immediately layoff is announced.
No, that's what I tried to speak to someone, and I wanted him to, you know, share his experience of what has happened to him and how things are for him. But they refuse to speak on camera. We understand because he has his own commitments, and in fact he doesn't want his face to be out there. But you must have interacted with a lot of people. So what are they saying? Like,
Right. So, yes, people are still reluctant to come to media because what they are going to say is going to be a negative impact on the company's image. So, even though it is injustice, they fear that their job would be at risk or their career will be at risk. But when we interact with people, what they say is one, when pregnant ladies, for example, one pregnant lady in Google itself, when they laid off, she's so helpless. She writes in her social media account that her hand was stopped. Her hand was not stopping shivering. So so she's about to get into a maternity leave, and at one fine morning, early morning, around 3 o'clock, she's getting a mail that you are part of the team which is going to be retrenched, and is something going to have a huge impact on the family as well as on the individual, on mental health. But they're not going. No company is worried about that. They only see about the economic aspect. On the extreme side, what we see is people who have chronic diseases or their family members who chronic diseases depend on the insurance of these companies provide, which no state provides other than this. They are at huge risk because without insurance, you will not be able to maintain the chronic disease, and it is going to put. It is almost like life or death situation, and these companies do not, or a decision like this, huge decision like this, does not factor in that. So because of this, we also see in recent case in Chennai, where a person he committed suicide, stating that he tried to get new jobs. Since he is a senior most employee, he is not able to get job. But at the same time, the work pressure in the current employment is so high that they are not able to stop the work pressure. At the same time, he's not able to go out and find a better job. So without any help and without any way to go out, he committed suicide. So such kind of incidents happen every year, every time. But the human value of it, the human perspective of it is not being considered. The employees are still seen as resources, not as humans. So that's the problem, the fundamental problem we see. That's what we want to amplify from the union point. All we want to do is we want to bring to a discussion. We want to bring the employee to a discussion where we are also humans. We have social commitments. So you can't just see us as a computer and terminate us just like that. We have social commitment, and that has to be taken factor into.
okay. And also, what about people who have been laid off? Like, do they have a support system? Do they have, somebody who can help them? Because I read in the papers that the Global Indian Tech Professionals Association is also helping them, and they're also creating some WhatsApp groups. In fact, I spoke to someone whom I know is in the uh, IT industry there. So he was telling me that the companies are not ready to offer jobs, because when giants like Google and Microsoft are laying off people, uh, uh, nobody is willing to hire. So how are these people managing to find another job?
Yeah, so even our interaction with the IT employees in US, what they say is the job market in the job portals available seems to be very bleak. And what they are trying to do is they're trying to form self-support groups, which whatever vacancy they find in the companies they know, they are trying to pull in and support the people they know in locality. But that number seems to be very low. In the report, the lack seems to be in tens of thousands. But the WhatsApp groups altogether, what we get the count is around few thousands. So the support mechanism still lacks. What we demanded, we recently wrote a letter to External Affairs Ministry. We demanded that government should intervene because the 60 days puts a lot of pressure on employees, and
Exactly.
that should be increased. That should be discussed with their government and increased. And this supporting step taken by the government, central government should take a step to get them better job. Otherwise, this is going to create a huge impact on their these lakhs of employees' livelihood. So, but the unions is also helping that. On the other hand, Alphabet Union and other unions also trying to challenge it legally, so that this can be reversed. Because when a company has huge reserves of profit, they can't send out employees just because their investment is flawed, just
Okay,
because the management decision
like
is
you must
flawed.
have interacted with the office bearers of Alphabet Union. What are they saying? Like, can they
The
challenge
Alphabet
this,
Union,
or is there a provision that where they can challenge and reverse this entire thing? Are they hopeful of doing that?
definitely they are exploring that. They want it to be revoked because Google as a company has almost $250 billion of revenue annual revenue. So they have enough surplus to support these employees. All these employees not going to cost much, and they have enough work to be deployed to. Google outsources a lot of works through contracts. So all these employees can be used to fill those posts. So Alphabet Union is trying to raise a complaint against the Alphabet and Google about this action, saying that a company which runs on super profit cannot be terminating its employees, and also its way of terminating is discriminatory because it is terminating freshers, it is terminating experienced people who are with the company for more years, which by law states that they'll get more job security as per all national labor department or labor laws, and also pregnant ladies. So on these backgrounds, there are enough grounds to file a case against the Google, and the local union is onto it.
Okay, some reports, in which they have spoken to IT employees. They say that uh, what they are going through is nerve-wracking. They are kind of lost because things are happening there. But do you think that the Indian government can do something about it? Whether they, like you said earlier, that the Indian government should intervene. The Delhi chief minister too has demanded the government's intervention. But what can the Indian government do?
No, in the US situation, it is very limited we can do. But once the Twitter started retrenchments, Indian IT MNC started retrenchments as well. So altogether, in last 3 months, what we see is around globally there are 2.5 lakhs have been retrenched or laid off. In India, we see around few thousands are being laid off. Few 4 to 5 thousand is what our estimation in last 3 months. Indian government should ensure the IT companies in India should not retrench by showing hands or pointing fingers at Google or Twitter or Microsoft. That is, a company which has enough profit should not retrench is what the law says. The Indian government should enforce the law, but without enforcing the law, the Indian government is still standing and watching it. And that is what something we demand. Immediately, the government should send a circular or ensure that there is no retrenchments in any name should happen. Even 2 days back, Wipro has laid off around 400 people. And before that was Vichusa. And before that was HCL and Infosys. So it's a continuous action. Indian government should act in India first.
Okay. And the termination package, are companies offering more? So, what is it like? What are they saying?
The at least in US, this MNCs are providing minimum support. I think there is a bit of humanitarian ground on that. I would say they are getting a certain weeks of severance package for the number of years of experience they have. And they also have 6 months of their insurance getting extended. So, which is something very, at least relatively good. But when it comes to the employees who are affected outside US, there's no support mechanism for that, because even when a company like Amazon retrenched 20,000 people across globe, in India, they told when a ministry intervened that these employees voluntarily resigned to safeguard these companies' interest. So they don't need to give any severance package, and there is no history of any insurance being extended in India without union intervention. So all
So
these are
it's like
new
mass
requirements.
resignation. It's like mass
Right.
resignation on their own.
Right. So that's how the companies project when government intervenes. So basically, they are using a loophole that they cannot terminate the employees in a mass. They need to get permission, but they can make employees forcefully resign and say that everybody resign for their own sake. But it is blatantly false. The government is not intervening in that. But this insurance policy getting extended till you get next job, or you get severance package when you terminate, it's all in the law, but it is not being implemented, enforced by the Indian government. So I doubt the benefits will be applicable or will be of any use to the employees outside US.
Okay, my last question to you. Last time when I interviewed, there were a lot of comments where people agreed, some people disagreed. Some people said, "Why do we need labor unions for IT sector? It's a trouble." In this scenario, it's the labor union that is speaking up and talking about all these issues because the employees have signed a non-disclosure agreement with the companies. They cannot say anything about the companies, or they cannot even talk about what they are going through. In this background, what would you say to people from the IT industry, that what they should be doing in these circumstances? Like you said, that in another few months, this is only going to continue. When such things are, when they experience such things, when they witness such things, what they should be doing?
Okay. That's a very valid point. That is what we are facing on a day-to-day basis. So basically, the issues faced by employees in IT are huge. It is not only retrenchments. Performance appraisal is a huge problem, and promotion and gender-based discriminations are very prevalent in IT companies. Harassment, sexual harassment is happening left, right, and center, but there is no proper mechanism to validly handle that. On these background, these are all cannot be discussed and discussed with an HR in one-to-one and fixed or try to make an improvement on that. So individual bargain is what prevalent in IT companies as of now. But every crisis has created an awareness among IT employees that it is not only the individual bargain is not sufficient. We need to collectively bargain with an employer so that the huge problems like performance appraisal, the retrenchments, cost cutting can be addressed immediately. To do collective bargain, first we need to know that there is a union, which we are not able to scale up to that level. But one recent meeting happened in Bangalore last week with all IT unions. What we came to know that is the membership of IT unions have grown drastically in last 1 year. All over India, we estimate around 30,000 employees have been registered with union in the last 1 year. Just before 1 year, it was around 10,000 or less. 30,000 is a huge spike, and that shows that people are coming towards union. People understand that, employees understand that they need union, and unions are exposing the injustice happening in the company and being their voice in the media and to the government. So I think to take forward this, to bring a job security and a equitable workplace where accountability will not be only on the employees. Accountability should be distributed with both employer and employee. So to achieve that, we need numbers and we need to dialogue with the government. For that, I think union is very valid, and employees are slowly coming towards union. Eventually, we will form unions in TCS, Cognizant, and all other MNCs and try to solve our issue directly dialoguing with the employer.
Right, Welkin. Thank you so much for talking to us and explaining us what exactly is happening in the US and in the IT sector. and we will get back to you once if there are more developments, and we will be focusing on this issue particularly because this is something, it's just not numbers, it's also, it has a lot to it, lot more than numbers. It's like a lot of people have been putting out messages and social media posts about the situation that they are facing in the US, and we hope that the Indian government intervenes and does something about it. So we will keep closely monitoring all these developments. Thank you, Welkin.
Thank you, Shabir.